Master-Thesis-Instructions-Part 3 Solutions video. Step 1 in the assignment. Now that you've learned about find replace, it is time to delete all unnecessary paragraph breaks from the document. Now obviously we cannot just delete all paragraph breaks, as that would make the document completely illegible. So what exactly is a redundant and unnecessary paragraph break? When you look at this document, you can clearly see that this is unnecessary, this is unnecessary, this is unnecessary. Why is it unnecessary? Because there are two consecutive paragraph breaks. We never need, or hardly ever need, consecutive paragraph breaks in Word. So all we need to do is find two consecutive paragraph breaks and replace them with one. So let's just do that. That's a previous search that I was doing. So, paragraph mark, that's two, and let's replace them with one paragraph mark. Now, there might be instances in the document where you have 3 or even 4 consecutive paragraph breaks. So we need to do this replace with command a few times until we get them all. So, replace all, we have 104. So, but now we might still have, so if there were, for example, 3, then that means that they've been reduced to 2. So that means that we have to do the replace all command again and do it a few times until we're sure that we get rid of all consecutive paragraph marks. 8 this time, 3 this time, and then, because I've done this exercise before, we get stuck with 2. I have no explanation for this, but we have to find them and then replace them manually. So here we have 2. I'm going to delete this one, and then there's another one here at the bottom. Somehow Word doesn't replace them automatically. Now that we've reduce the document by the length of the document by deleting these redundant paragraph breaks, we need to check the document again from the top to see if there are no unnecessary page breaks now. So let's scroll down, and here's an unnecessary page break. Let's take it out. You will see that sometimes your captions will have gotten separated from their object. We will deal with that in part 3 when you've learned about captions. Here as well, an unnecessary page break, and a page break that has a heading style applied to it. Never a good idea, because it will apply as a blank when you show your navigation pane. Aha, and what else do I see? I see that there are still redundant paragraph marks, and these are still there because some of them are preceded by spaces, which means that we also need to look for paragraph mark, space, paragraph mark, and replace these with one paragraph mark. We should have actually done that in step 1. So paragraph mark, space, paragraph mark, and replace it with one paragraph mark. We have 3 and then 0, so we're done. Let's continue scrolling. We're getting towards the end, and that was it. We deleted 2 page breaks. Next, step 3. Replace all curly, so-called smart quotes with straight quotes. Now, let me just type quotes here somewhere. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what they look like. So these are straight quotes. The reason they are straight is because in the auto formatting options I turned it off that Word could replace these straight quotes with smart quotes. So let's look at some smart quotes in this document. These are smart quotes, so as opposed to straight quotes. you couldn't really see this because they went to the next line. Let's find another set of smart quotes. There's quite a few in here, but obviously when you're looking for them you can't find them. Here we are. So here you can see the difference. Smart quotes, straight quotes. So what you need to do is check your auto correct options to make sure that this is turned off, because otherwise you can never replace the smart quotes with straight quotes, because you won't be able to type straight quotes. Okay, so let's replace any quotes, that is. So Word can't really look for smart quotes or straight quotes. It will just look for quotes, and we will replace them with quotes. And because we are typing straight quotes, all the quotes will be replaced with straight quotes. Replace all, 106, close. So now you can see the difference. They've been replaced with straight quotes. Step 4. In the text, you don't want the numbers 1 and 2 to get separated from heading 1 and heading 2. There are many more examples than this where you don't want the number to get separated. But let's, like for example, chapter 1, you would never want the one to go to a new line and chapter 1 to stay in the previous line. But for this document, for now, we will just make sure that heading 1 and heading 2 will not get separated. Let's just find an example. So when I pressed Control F, which shows me the task pane for find for navigation, I could just as well have used this one to find the word heading. It's exactly the same, only here you get a list of all the instances. So here's one instance of heading 1. So we don't want these two to get separated. So let's replace this space with a non-breaking space. Heading space 1, and we replace it with heading non-breaking space 1. Replace all. We want to start from the beginning, yes, and then we have 8 replacements. Let's do the same for heading 2. From the beginning, yes, 6 replacements. It's because I had a space selected that at first it doesn't find anything, but because first a word looks in this selection, and that's why it asks us if we want to start again from the beginning. Next, update the table of contents. I will zoom out a little bit now again. You could have done this a lot more quickly using the navigation pane, for example. Update the table of contents to apply the changes that we've made so far. Update fields, update entire table. Here we are. Now, we see that indeed our numbers have been added, but our chapter 1 titles, our level 1 titles, are missing. So something must have gone wrong. If you use the built-in heading styles in Word, the table of contents automatically associates the headings with the correct levels. So heading 1 will become the first level in the table of contents, heading 2 the second level, and so on. But Word allows you to make changes to this. So if you want to take out a heading of the table of contents, or you want to add other styles, you can. So my guess is that something must have gone wrong there. So let's take a look at where this association is set. We go to References, Table of Contents, Custom Table of Contents, and here we see that the heading 1 is there. It is there. So let's just apply it again. Yes, and now it has been added. So something must have gone wrong there. If it hadn't been there, if heading 1 hadn't been in the preview, you could have easily added it by adding this number to heading 1, and then heading 2 is the second level, because this column shows what level which style will have in the table of contents. This time we don't want to replace it because we already have our first level titles. Now we see that the title table of contents is in our table of contents, which of course doesn't make sense, and you learned how to avoid this by first taking away the number, creating a new style for this title. So the first thing obviously you had to do, but which had already been done, is apply the heading 1. Now we've created a new style, and we need to make sure that this style is not shown in the table of contents. If we update now, it will go away from the table of contents. Also, an added bonus is that obviously table of contents is not chapter 1, so by taking away the number, getting started, rightfully so, became chapter 1. Make the following changes to the formatting of the table of contents, applying the good practices that you've learned. So, level 1 titles, font size 14, number at 0, text at 1.5, bold, no tab leader, and spacing before 12 points. So, like you've learned, you know that Word sets the position of the text using a tab stop, which is not a good practice, because if you have longer titles that run over more than one line, the second line will not be nicely aligned with the first line. So that's why we need to replace this tab position with a hanging indent. But then we have the bug in Word. So at first, usually this tab is not shown in the style in the tab dialog box. So you have the 16.49 centimeter one, which is the right aligned tab for the page number, but this one is not showing. To get rid of the bug, we need to play around with it a little bit. So move it back and forth, and then go back to our style. And there it is. And we can clear it. So again, font size 14 points. The number at 0, left indent 0, and the text at 1.5. Hanging indent 1,5. Spacing before 12 points. Okay. Bold. Okay, and then no tab leader for the page number. So for the 16.49, we need to take out the leader. Set. Okay. Level 1 is done. Let's go to level 2, and let's first play around with the tab so that we can just do it in one go once we are in our style dialog box. Talk 2. Number at 1.5. Number at 1.5. And the text at 2.3. So the text we want around this position. Now, as you know, hanging indent, the distance of the hanging indent is not defined from the 0 position, from the left margin, but it is the distance between the left indent and the hanging indent. So 2.3 is exactly 0.8 centimeter past the 1.5 position. So we add 0.8 to 1.5 to get text position of 2.3. Hanging, don't forget to set this to hanging. What else do we need to do? Spacing after to 0. That was our second level. Third level, let's do the tab thing again. Hopefully that was enough. Let's take a look at our level 3. See if we can see the tab. Here it is. Clear. Okay. Number at 2.3. So the number is positioned with the left indent. And the text step 3, which is exactly 0.7 centimeters past the 2.3 position. Hanging. And spacing after 0. That looks just about right. But our chapter 5 appendices got separated from the level 2 titles. We actually never want our level 1 titles to get separated from the level 2 titles. So just inserting a manual page break would not be a solution, because as you continue to work in your document, you may add new titles and other level 1 titles may get separated from the level 2 titles. So to structurally solve this, we have this feature that you learned about that will make sure, let's just put the formatting symbols back on, that makes sure that a specific paragraph is always kept together with the next paragraph. So this is paragraph formatting and it's called keep with next. So we need to define this obviously in the level 1 in the TOC 1 style, so that it applies to all level 1 titles and that they never get separated from their level 2 friends. So wrong style, level 1, format, paragraph, line and page breaks, and we check the box next to keep with next. There you go, it jumps to the next page, and this concludes our part 3.